The fire was dying, no doubt about it. The flames that had once roared with heat were now little more than glowing coals, the occasional crackle sounding like a sigh of surrender. Our bellies were starting to growl, and the stash of food we had left after a long day on the trail was nothing to brag about. A couple of carrots, half a bag of rice, 2 dented cans without labels, and some mystery packets of seasonings from old ramen bags. That was it. No meat, no bread, no butter, not even a pinch of salt, besides what those tiny seasoning packets might hold. It was then that someone, probably Mark, since he was always the instigator, suggested we make a competition out of it. Best wilderness meal, winner takes bragging rights, he said with a grin, already eyeing the pile of tired-looking ingredients like a chef planning his masterpiece. The rest of us laughed, but hunger makes even the strangest ideas seem like a good one, and before long, the challenge was accepted. The fire's weakness became part of the game. We couldn't just toss things on to cook. They had to be carefully managed. Too close to the embers and it would scorch. Too far and it would never warm through. I remember kneeling there, poking at the coals with a stick, trying to coax a little more life out of them, while the others huddled with their chosen ingredients. The air smelled faintly of wood smoke and pine, and somewhere in the dark, an owl let out a long, lonely call. We each had our own strategy. Mark, of course, claimed the rice first, talking big about making a wild risotto, even though he'd never made one at home. Sarah grabbed the carrots and one of the cans, muttering about soup. I was left with the mystery seasoning packets and the other can, which rattled like beans when I shook it. Not much to work with, but I figured if I could pull off something warm and filling, I'd at least avoid ridicule. There was a strange excitement in the air as we set about our makeshift cooking, each of us trying to hide our process from the others. Our competition wasn't just against the fire and the meagre pantry, but against each other's creativity. The smoke clung to our clothes. The sparks leapt like firefly soup. She hacked the carrots into uneven chunks with her pocket knife, the slices rolling away in the dirt before she scooped them up again, brushing them off on her jeans. "Adds flavour," she joked, though no one looked entirely convinced. She opened her mystery can with a rock, no opener between us, and it turned out to be peas, pale and mushy from sitting who knows how long on some grocery shelf. She tossed them into her pot with the carrots and the tiniest shake of a ramen seasoning packet. Soon, the mixture started to bubble weakly, sending up a smell that was halfway between comfort and despair. Then, there was me. My can rattled when I shook it, and sure enough, when I cracked it open with the edge of my knife, it was beans. Plain, flavourless beans. Not bad, not good, just beans. I poured them into my pan and stared at them for a long moment. That's when I remembered something tucked away in my pack. A small strip of jerky, nearly forgotten at the bottom. I crumbled it into the beans, then emptied both seasoning packets in, hoping to mask the blandness. As the mixture warmed, the jerky softened, giving off a smoky, savoury smell that actually made the others look up from their pots with a bit of envy. The fire popped, sending sparks into the night, and we all leaned in close, guarding our dishes like contestants in some wilderness cooking show. The owl hooted again, the forest quiet otherwise, as if waiting to see who would win. Our faces were lit by the red glow of the embers, shadows stretching behind us like dark ghosts. Finally, the moment came to taste. Mark spooned up his rice first, holding it aloft like it was a fine delicacy. The rest of us leaned forward, eager for the verdict, though I had my doubts. The rice clumped together like glue, sticky and chewy. But, to his credit, it was warm and filling. Sarah ladled out her soup next, though the broth was more greyish water than anything else. Still, the carrots gave a bit of sweetness, and in the quiet of camp, even mushy peas felt like a blessing. And partly because we were secretly impressed. She knelt by the coals, broke the bars into chunks, and dropped them into her battered tin cup. The chocolate began to soften almost immediately, and the smell that rose up, rich, sweet, and unexpected, made all our stomachs growl in unison. She gave it a slow stir with a stick, then tossed in a few carrot slivers for texture. "Carrot-choco stew," she announced proudly, holding the cup up to the firelight, as if she'd invented fine dining. We laughed, but it smelled too good to mock for long. Mark, competitive to the end, refused to be outdone. He grabbed the last scrap of rice left in his pot, rolled it into sticky balls with his hands, and then, without warning, dunked them into Sarah's melted chocolate. "Rice, truffles," he said with a grin, popping one into his mouth. His face twisted, half delight, half horror, but he nodded. Not bad. A little smoky. That was all it took. Suddenly, our little fire pit became an impromptu dessert factory. I spooned a few beans into the chocolate just to see, and to my surprise, the mix wasn't awful. Kind of like some strange, savoury sweet dish you'd find in a place that prided itself on fusion cuisine. Sarah passed the cup around, each of us trying the bizarre combinations until we were laughing so hard our sides hurt. But then the fire, already struggling, sputtered out almost completely. The chocolate began to harden in the cup, and the last bit of warmth bled away into the night. We sat in the dim glow of the coals, sticky hands, chocolate-streaked faces, and the kind of camaraderie that only comes from surviving on scraps. The forest seemed to lean in close as we laughed, shadows swaying in rhythm with the trees, an occasional crack of a branch in the distance reminding us we weren't alone. For a brief moment, I thought I saw something move just beyond the firelight. The laughter faltered. Mark's head snapped up, eyes squinting into the dark. Sarah froze, the cup still in her hand. Then, from the blackness, came a long, low rustling sound. The rustling grew louder, steady now, as if something loosely in one hand. "Stay put," he muttered, his eyes locked on the darkness. The embers popped behind him, throwing a brief light that made his shadow stretch tall and thin across the ground, like some kind of sentry. The sound grew closer. A low snort broke the silence. My stomach dropped. Bear, no mistaking it now. Sarah's eyes went wide, and she mouthed something I didn't dare repeat. We'd been stupid, laughing, cooking, letting the smells of chocolate and beans and rice drift straight into the trees. And now, sure enough, a heavy silhouette shifted just beyond the glow of the fire. We could see the faint outline of a head, the shine of two small eyes catching the light. "Don't move," I whispered, though none of us needed telling. The bear huffed again, then stepped forward, its form clearer now. Big, too big to mistake for anything else. It lingered there, testing the air, clearly drawn by the scent of our pitiful feast. Mark held his ground, shoulders stiff, while Sarah's hand crept toward the pan of chocolate. I knew what she was thinking. Maybe toss it, distract the bear. But before she could move, the animal gave a sharp grunt and turned, crashing through the brush with surprising speed. Within seconds, the forest swallowed the sound, leaving only the ringing silence of our held breaths. We sat there for a long time, not speaking, the adrenaline still burning in our veins. Finally, Mark lowered the hatchet and gave a shaky laugh. "Guess the judges weren't impressed with our cooking." We chuckled weakly, relief washing over us. Still, none of us felt much like eating anymore. We stayed close to the embers, speaking in low voices, every ear tuned to the night, every shadow carrying the possibility of another visitor. The embers glowed faintly, more orange than red now, and none of us made a move to add wood. We sat in the circle of dying light, still half listening for sounds in the trees, half thinking about how close we'd just been to a very different kind of story. The chocolate cup sat abandoned by Sarah's boots, hardened into one sticky lump, while Mark's rice pot leaned on its side, grains clinging like scraps. It feels like every bite's a gamble, and every smell is an invitation. He didn't have to say the word bear. It hung there, unspoken in all our minds. We lay down in our bags not long after, pulling them tight against the cold, though none of us drifted off quickly. The forest was too alive now, every rustle a reminder. But as the night deepened, the fear slowly faded, replaced by that strange sense of connection the wilderness sometimes gives you. Connection to each other, to the fire that had fought so hard to keep us warm, even to the bear that had wandered close enough to test our courage. In the morning, the first light found us bleary-eyed but smiling. Mark declared himself the winner of the contest, though Sarah argued that dessert always takes the prize. I didn't claim victory, but I'll admit, I was proud of those beans. We packed up quietly, our pots and pans sticky with last night's experiments. And as we shouldered our packs, Sarah turned back to the fire pit. "Next time," she said, "I'm bringing marshmallows. Bears can fight me for those." We laughed again, this time loud and carefree, the memory of the night already turning into a story worth retelling. And that's what stuck with me most. Out here, even the smallest meals and the strangest moments can become something you carry for years, something you share later under other stars, around other fires. The wilderness has a way of teaching you that it's not about the food or the fire or even the fear. It's about who you're with when the embers burn low and how you face the darkness together.